Hey everyone, it's Behind the Red Carpet with Kristyn Burtt for Mingle Media TV. Hey everyone, welcome back to Behind the Red Carpet with Kristyn Burtt. We're going to go through some really interesting categories this week because there's some controversy around several of them. We're going to look at documentary feature, animated feature, as well as best foreign film. Now let's dive right into documentary feature because there are going to be some rule changes, not for this year, but for next year. Now let's talk about the current rules. The rules to be honored and nominated for Best Documentary means that you have to have a 7-day run in either LA County or New York City. Now, that can mean anywhere in Los Angeles, and this is where it gets a little sticky because sometimes people rent out a theater for 1 week in Westlake Village, and yes, that is part of LA County. You also have to advertise in Los Angeles Times or even LA Weekly, New York Times, The Village Voice. But this is what happens. People that do documentaries for like HBO, which runs on television, often rent out a theater for a week. In Westlake Village, they advertise in LA Weekly and they get nominated for an Oscar. Now, does that seem fair when they're also up for an Emmy? Well, this is where the change is going to come about for 2012. Not only do you have to adhere to all those rules, you are also going to have a full documentary review in either the New York Times or the LA Times. Seems a little exclusionary, but you know what? Michael Moore was the one who really spearheaded this change. He was the winner in 2003 for Bowling for Columbine, and I think he's right because what it's going to do is going to take the nominees, a huge pool of entries, which was over 150 this year, and probably cut it in half. It's also going to make the documentary feature category probably a little bit more fair. It's going to affect HBO the most, but we'll see what happens for 2012. Now let's take a look at those nominees. We have got Helen Back again, If a Tree Falls, A Story of the Earth Liberation Front, Paradise Lost 3, Purgatory, Pina, and Undefeated. Now this is always a really tough category. I'm probably going to go with a sentimental favorite on this one, which is Pina. It is the first 3D documentary feature that has ever been nominated for an Oscar. It's a gorgeous film. If you haven't had the opportunity to see it, I recommend that you go and either rent it or go to the theater if you're in New York or Los Angeles to check it out. So I'm going to put Pina as my winner. Now, let's dive into the foreign language film. Belgium for Bullhead, Canada for Monsieur Lazare, Iran for A Separation, we've got Israel for Footnote, and Poland for In Darkness. This is a one-film race. Iran has it all tied up with A Separation. In fact, this was even nominated in the writing categories. So we're also going to see a little bit of controversy around foreign film because each country is only allowed to nominate one film. And we saw France having to make a decision of the artist or another film. And they took a gamble, which paid off. The artist is nominated in Best Picture category, and then they submitted something else for Best Foreign Film. We might see these rules change in the next few years, but I hope you guys have marked Iran, A Separation on your Oscar ballot. Next up, Best Animated Feature. Okay, we are bringing you breaking news because this past Saturday we attended the 39th Annual Annie Awards. We wanted to talk about what's happening in the animation category and give you the latest up-to-date information. Now let's go through the Oscar nominees first. We have A Cat in Paris, which of course is a French film, Chico and Rita from Spain, Kung Fu Panda 2, Puss in Boots, and Rango. Now, early on in the Oscars season, it really seemed that Kung Fu Panda 2 had all the heat on it and that it was the one to beat in this year's race. Remember, this is one of the first years in recent memory that we don't have a Pixar film nominated. Cars 2 did not make that nomination list. Now, I had the opportunity to talk to Jennifer Yu Nelson on the red carpet at the Annie Awards. I think it's fantastic that we have a female-helmed film in animation, but right now it looks like after 4 award wins at the Annie Awards, it looks like Rango, directed by Gore Verbinski, is going to be the one to beat at this year's Oscar race. I think it has all the heat it needs to go out there and win that Golden Knight. We'll find out February 26th. Now, don't forget to join me next week as we talk Best Supporting Actor and Actress. And you know what, you guys? These categories are locked up. These people already have won their Oscar. Do you know who I'm talking about? Well, you'll have to find out next week. Joining me here behind the red carpet, I'm Kristyn Burtt.